first of all warm up the ambience here to giving you a brief introduction to the topic. We're gonna be talking about schedule management, and my promise to you all guys is that you're gonna be uh, when you finish this event, you're gonna be having some artifacts that very likely will give you the this push that you need in this weird time that we are living, which is insane, but it is what it is. So let's assume for this panel that all else being equal, the project success depends quite much in three things: scope, schedule, and cost. In between all of those, we have the quality, and this is pretty much well known in the project management business as the project management triple constraint. So as you can see, one of these elements here is a schedule. Then what is a schedule and what is a schedule management? So this is pretty much all of the practices that we put in place in order to be timely in the completion of the project. So as any other thing in the plan and in the project, it's under the pressure of many things. We have the budget, we have the person power, we have the technical changes, we have partners. But in the top of that, nowadays, we have the coronavirus, which is imposing a new normal, and it's completely crazy. All right. So with that said, I would like to place the first question to you, the guys in the panel. I would like to start with Thomas and asking you, what do you think? I mean, what is this new normal doing to our life in the project management perspective? And welcome, all of you guys.
Yeah, thanks, John, for leading this discussion. Um, and for the question, we're talking about new normal. Everybody's talking about new normal. Actually, I don't think we have already reached the new normal. We are still in a phase of turbulence and changes and new things coming up, and we don't know where it will end. So we are not stable yet, as we have been stable, let's say, 2 years ago. And you can see it in many things in the vaccinations with the virus, with turbulence in politics, with the turbulence in economics. So we are a little bit still in a flux, and that's not a bad thing per se, because only if you are in a flux somehow it will induce new opportunities and new ways of thinking, and it will be innovative. So what I observed regarding schedule management in this state where we're in, it's that schedule slippages are much more tolerated by every stakeholder on it, because before that, you might have taken a schedule, promise, a milestone as a given, and and you go for that. But now, if you slip it, I'm not saying you should slip it, but if you slip it, you're probably more observing that the other part, is saying, okay, thanks that you said this, and I understand the situation we are in. So it's much more a feeling of being fair and respectful of the circumstances we're in. The second thing I observed, that much more schedule planning for slippages are being made. Alternatives are planned for. Plan Bs are made. Uh, Diversions of the plan are being made on short notice. And we saw it in Germany now when we had some problems with the delivery of the vaccine. There are some ways you go through this the network of activities that have to be done and are very flexible. So I think what we also see is that we are now more looking into the results of the schedule of the projects and less of the efficiency, because we understand that we have to go an extra mile sometimes, that we have to change plans. And it's therefore more important that we are trustful, that we are respectful, and that we have a focus on the relationships in our project between clients and project managers. So
Uh,
this is my observation on that.
okay, I really like the part where you mentioned the thing about tolerance, and this is the point in which I would like to pass the ball to Monina. Uh, do you really think? I mean, do you have this feeling also that the tolerance of the people that is working in projects has increased because of this Corona thing? What do you think of that, Monina?
Yes, I believe that because of coronavirus and the current situations of pandemic, things are changing, and I think it is also in terms of mindsets that is changing in many organizations. Let me start first by my observation, even before the COVID-19, from what really stick with me is that there was many changes this in workplace already before COVID-19. So, for example, in France, in 2019, the executive recruitment website, Cadre Emploi, conducted a survey that found that about 50% of white collar workers think they suffered burnout. So the first causes their mention was pressure and too much workload. So this was tied to the fact that in many companies, people people are used, the resources are overused, and that creates such a pressure in workplace that many people were struggling with that. In top of that, I also observed that in some companies, when the competition is too high, for example, most of the time the project managers input and view on scheduling and and um how do you call it? I have to find the right way. We have scheduling is not taking into account. So
Okay.
in this kind of companies, there are a lot of pressure, and I think that the first lockdown, for example, was a wake-up call to many that we have really to change our way of working.
Yep.
So maybe giving more priorities um, to people, to employees and workers, and
Yep.
then treating people more like human beings
Yep.
instead of resources.
Yep. No, I see totally your point, and that's for sure. I would say that one of the key things that this pandemic has created in the people and in companies is kind of moving a little bit the focus. Kind of having a different perception of not resources but people doing something. And I think this is something I would take from the thing that you just said. And I would like to now take advantage of this cross continental thing, and I would like to hear now about from Frank. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you really think that the tolerance has increased? I mean, I have always had the feeling. Sorry, I haven't passed the ball to you yet. I have always had the feeling these differences in cultures between the European view and the North American view is always it's way different. So. What do you think, Frank? I mean, what do you think in terms of the tolerance, in terms of the workload? What do you think of that?
Well, that's actually a really good question, and yeah, I have to say that I see a lot of different things because most of the U.S. is in a virtual environment. There's little to no actual interfacing, and very few people are going into their offices and things like that. So from that perspective, the availability of people and the use of technology, I think that there's an increase in tolerance in terms of getting things done. Okay, we do have the technology, but people are not on 24/7. They are not working with each other closely. The handoffs might take a little bit longer. You don't have if you're in a face-to-face meeting, you don't have the technology issues that you might have in a virtual environment. And I was on a call this morning, and there were certainly technology issues, and you have to be tolerant of that. You have to be tolerant of people being interrupted by different things. I was looking at some information about how many times a day people are being interrupted. Now they're working at home. They do have people around them, even if they have their own offices. They have children, pets, phone calls, spouses coming in, disrupting things. So I think everybody has learned to accept that to some extent and deal with that kind of tolerance. I think that we probably have to be a little bit more conscious of the work that we're doing, especially when we're in that virtual environment, because we don't really want to use up other people's time or waste other people's time. But we do have to provide a little bit more flexibility in terms of this environment that we're in. Just to get back to something that Thomas had said about the new norm and what's the new norm. I don't know what the new norm is yet. I think that the way to look at it would be that we have the old norm, we have the current norm, and we have a future norm that we don't really know what it is yet. Okay, that we are in a constant state of adapting right now. That we are getting very, very used to at this particular point virtual communication and so on. In the future, I would expect that there will be some combination of virtual communication and in person, although I think that this whole pandemic has altered the way people are going to work in the future, that there will be a lot more remote learning than remote contact than there was in the past. The structures are going to change in terms of the organization, how people communicate, and people are going to be a lot more conscious about that social interaction. So there's a lot of things that we have to think about, but to get back to your original question, I see that there is a lot more flexibility and tolerance simply because of this continuously changing environment that we have to adapt to.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and it's true also. It's very interesting to have this conversation with you guys, because we performed this discussion a couple of months ago, and it's very interesting to look everything in perspective. And the truth is that we are still in this, trying to find ourselves in the middle of this situation. It's crazy, and it's challenging, and that's actually linked to our first poll tonight. And then I'm going to invite everyone here in this event to go to slido.com and put this PMI OH ID there, and you will be participating with us. So I'm going to pass the ball now to Prasad, and he will lead us in this part of the process.
Good. I hope you can see my screen, and you can see the code as well. Can you see code, Johan?
No, we can only see your desktop, Prasad.
Can you see now?
Yeah, now I can see the code.
Okay, good. And let me activate polling, and then we put 3 minutes of for the response from the participants.
Can you read the question, Prasad, maybe for the people?
Yep, the question was, do you think COVID-19 is more a threat than an opportunity?
Great. So let's wait. We have a lot of people there participating.
Just a reminder for attendee, if they have any question, to post it in the chat in the chat window. Um, they can we can go through. We should not. They cannot just wait till the end of the session. They can pause at any time of this presentation.
There's an interesting comment from Brian Macy about what the future is going to look like in terms of hybrid meetings and events. And I think he's right on the money. It will, I see it as definitely being a hybrid type of situation, pretty much.
Yeah. And that hybrid thing, I mean, maybe we can take a little bit on that, because I also participated not long ago in an event, and they were saying about the problems about this hybrid approach. Because sometimes, I mean, what do you mean about hybrid? Does it mean like having like a hybrid meeting in which you have people participating from outside, or some of them like in presence, and they have also mentioned the problems about that. Yeah, it's a challenge everywhere.
I have a question for the audience, the attendees that are posting responses to this question, and I'd like to see some things in chat maybe we can pick up on. But I'm really curious as to a large percentage of people are looking at this as an opportunity, and I would like to see what they mean by opportunity. What's out there in terms of opportunity as a result of this COVID situation? You know, looks like a lot of optimistic people out there with opportunities. So maybe post some of those opportunities so that we can take a look at what you're thinking about and what you perceive is going to happen in the future.
Johan, sorry to interrupt, but it's done. I think 37 participants and the results 62% opportunity, 30% threat, and don't know 8%. So over to you then, Johan.
Perfect. Um, all right, I'm gonna share my screen now one more time. And yes, just to recap, I mean, in the time being, what we discussed, it's a very nice question, the one that Frank just placed to the audience. And I'm impressed as well. This is the same result I think we had in the other event, and I'm still surprised of the people just finding opportunities. And this is something good because they are perceiving the thing in a positive manner. But I don't know if I'm being like a fatalist or something like that, but for me it's hard to see the opportunities out there. So let's start with you, Thomas. What do you think? I mean, do you see opportunities out there?
Oh, many, many. And I think it's also a matter of your mindset. You know, we were talking about the agile mindset and the open mindset, and it's all about to see something happening with at least both sides. So there might be a danger, a risk to your side, and there are, and let me be very clear, there are many people suffering in this changes. You know, not only from the health status, but okay, economic side, losing jobs or losing customers, business losing their business. You know, there's a lot of pain and things going on. But on the other hand, some people are really opening up and gaining a lot of more money and also blossoming. So from the give you one example from the German market, and there was a survey lately about the German CEOs around. You know, we have a lot of mid-sized company, and the point was that we said, okay, we should have more work from home, and actually they opposed it. So most of the German CEOs oppose it, and most of them really, some of them even fired their employees if they asked to work from home. And you know, this is very in contrast to what everybody says. It's the logic. You know, if you want to reduce the connection with other people, you should work from home. But the point is exactly the mindset of these people. You know, there is still a command control mindset prevailing in the German marketplace, and only those companies who are open and who are willing to trust their people, you know, can be very comfortable in letting them work from home. So this is something. There are opportunities, but still, you know, how people perceive it is a matter of their perspectives and their mindset. And I think we still have to work on the mindsets of a lot of industry leaders.
Yeah, yeah, I think so as well. And what do you think, Monina? What do you think about this the situation? Do you see opportunities as well in this pandemic?
Thank you, Kwan, for this question. So I believe that, as we all know, there is no doubt that there are a lot of disadvantages to the actual COVID-19. As Thomas said, people are suffering. For me, the suffering in the workplace even increased, so especially for healthcare workers and also for um, essential workers. So, and collectively, we are also facing our vulnerability. People, there is a fear for the, to be sick. We are having negative impact in terms of economic, in terms of in professional level, as well as a personal level. And there are so many disadvantages, as I say, but nevertheless, I think there are opportunities as well, as we are all benefiting it from now. Most of us, we can work from home, so this is a really good advantage. As people have a work-life balance as well, that we are saving time. So the time that we need to commit to get to work. And I saw as well that in the big pharma made an incredible innovation. So the vaccination starts now.
Yeah,
In top of that, the things that really that is a big opportunity for me is that people, they are understand now our connectedness, our common humanity. And I feel of solidarity, for example, outside, even if we are working in the remotely, we are still the, I think there is something that change in the collective mindset. And as a well-known philosopher said it, his name is Kant, he said that act in such a way that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the other person, nevertheless, never merely as a mean, but always at the same time as an end. And I think this mindset is evolving because people understand now that to deal with work challenges, dynamics that occurs on projects, dealing with deadlines, some of the skills that helps a lot are understanding people humanity, treating people well in the workplace, for example. And I think this is a skills that really is helping in project management and beyond.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I was kind of scanning the comments that the people is putting there, and it's related to what you are you're saying about this pandemic and this new mode is forcing people to think out of the box. And this could be seen as an opportunity, of course, because you are forced to evolve in order to keep your place wherever you're working. At the same time, there are some challenges, and this is kind of the complicated thing about this question. And I saw another person asking about having both, because actually it's true. It's hard to say whether there is an opportunity or a threat, because it's diverse at the end. And then, Frank, I see a lot of people answering your question about what are the opportunities, and there's a bunch of people mentioning here that, for example, commuting. This is something that we can spare now with this new working mode. But there is I like this comment here saying about the opportunity and the threat. It depends on the industry where you are working. So overall, where do you think are the most of the opportunities, or where do you think are the most of the threats within this situation?
Well, I was looking at some of the comments, and one in particular, Juan Carlos, I think it was one, said something about that I'm going back to school. I'm finishing up on some education programs and things like that. And I think we're on the right track with that. So my view on this begins with yes, there are threats and there are opportunities. So each organization and possibly each individual should be doing, and this is the way I see it, a pandemic business SWOT analysis. Okay, so that you can take a look at the where you are. Okay, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the threats, opportunities? You have to do a reassessment because things have changed quite a bit in the last 10, 11 months. So that's number one is yes, there are threats and opportunities, but you got to take a look at it from your own perspective and your business perspective. So let's coin the phrase here in this session that you need, your business needs to do a pandemic business SWOT. That would be to start. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to ask yourself, and people are saying, when you answer the question, or they answer the question of what are the opportunities. You see things like, well, I can work at home now. I don't have to commute. Save some money. Those are not opportunities. Okay, those are benefits. So you have to ask yourself, in this particular environment, if we use being virtual or remote from your work location, you're not traveling anymore, you can get up a little later, whatever. The first question that you should be asking you, well, what are the benefits that I am now realizing for being in this particular situation? Okay. If you are working at home, there are definitely benefits, but there are also probably some challenges that you need to deal with. Now, once you understand that, I think the next step would be, okay, now that I understand my benefits, what opportunities are now opening up for me because I have more time. I am not commuting. I am no longer commuting 1 to 2 hours in one way. So I have now mined 4 hours of additional disposable time. What am I going to do with it? Okay, so now I need to start looking at my opportunities. So let's look at benefits. Let's look at challenges. Let's see what we have to do to maximize benefits, and then the opportunities will then begin to surface as you start to see that there's other things that you can do, that you can fulfill some objectives and personal goals that you have. So I think we have to look at it that way. So remember, an opportunity is not I'm saving time, okay? An opportunity is what am I going to do with that time that I was just saved? Okay, that's how I would see it.
Yeah, that's a really nice reading of this of that because I saw also that commuting thing, and to me that was kind of a, yeah, it is a benefit, of course, and there are some other things that are jumping in this formula, but yeah. I think that maybe we can move on to the next poll we have today, and Prasad, I'm gonna give you the ball back because I would like to know and what the audience think about um, what is this attribute that the project managers nowadays should have on their back to treat this situation, to tackle and mitigate the problems that they have in front of them. So you can take the lead, Prasad.
Yeah, so I'll just launch the poll. I mean, just the question here: do you feel less engaged with your team due to the new normal? And the answer is yes, no, and can't judge. I mean, this time I'll just run a 2 minutes, and I just request everyone that you can stick to the same code because we will be playing a couple of polls, and then you don't have to switch between your handy or the screen. So on mobile or on computer, keep the same screen with the same code, PMIOH, hashtag PMIOH, so that you can answer during the time. Um, and yeah, it's ongoing now. I mean, last time we had, I mean, we have participants about more than 60, and we can expect more than at least 50 responses. And if you have any error or the challenges with the connections, please let us know so we can help you with that. But this tool is quite tested. We tested in the past time, and it's working well.
Wow.
Now we have different opinions here.
Still have only 41 responses. Probably the next 20 can make the changes in the percentage. We have 20 seconds.
We have a tie.
You know, these answers remind me of something when I asked a person a question about making a decision, and the person responded with, "Well, I feel strongly both ways." Think about that.
That's
Thanks. I just stopped the polling, and you can take over then,
let me
Joan.
just, I will just
And then it's more on, and the answer is more on no, 51%, and yes, 49. But I think it's between both.
all
Why
right.
you, Johan?
Thanks a lot. Thanks. So now that you volunteer yourself, Frank, what do you think? I mean, the people, the audience is not that, there's not that clear trend about if they feel engaged or not. But what do you think? I mean, about that?
Well, first of all, I have to say you're getting a tremendous amount of chat responses and great comments in there. But Laura Miller, she said something also from opportunity from a business perspective, how to repackage your offerings. I think that is, part of the opportunity side. Okay, now that I have this new environment, what am I going to do with it, and how I'm going to change, and there's new opportunities. So that was worth mentioning. Regarding the engagement, that's an interesting question. I have seen and been involved in a lot of video conferencing and programs and so on. And there is a tendency for people to be busy doing other things while they're listening to programs. So you have some engagement issues there. If you have a truly compelling message or story to give, you're going to get a lot more engagement. Okay. If you are rehashing information that everybody already knows, you're going to have less engagement. If you are not using the appropriate techniques in a virtual environment to show that you are trying to stay connected, you're going to have less engagement. So we have to be very creative. We have to upskill. I think someone mentioned that in the chat about this is a great opportunity to improve my skills, add new skills. So being that the audience is kind of split 50-50 pretty much in terms of engagement, tells us that we definitely have work to do. That that all of us that are involved in the conducting of meetings, running meetings, giving presentations, we have to change our approach, our skills to make sure that we're engaging with people. And we have to do it by what you're doing here, by asking those poll questions, by looking at the chat and commenting on what people are saying, give them an opportunity to speak. I just was going through this course for PMI to be a authorized training provider, the class. And we have to focus today on what is called modern learning, okay, which is pretty different than what it was not that long ago. So I think it's up to us, especially if you're a leader in an organization, that you can't be running business the way you used to and you cannot have virtual meetings the way you used to run in-person meetings, that you have to keep changing, evolving. You have to watch your tone of voice, your inflections, your mannerisms, your background, all of these things in order to keep people engaged. If not, one of the things that I read recently is the attention span of adults has decreased 33% since year 2000. Okay, so we're paying less and less attention, and we have to make sure that we adapt to that and get people to be more engaged. So
Yeah.
there's no easy answer for this, but I am really, kind of interested and surprised to see that 50-50 split. It just tells us we got a lot more work to do.
Yeah, I see you nodding, Thomas. What do you think? What do you think about this? And if you can share also any experience, recent experience like Frank, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm also not so uncomfortable with managing a virtual team or being part of a virtual team because, as an IBMer and as a volunteer at PMI, I had the chance since 20 years to learn how to deal with virtual teams and how to keep people engaged and how to motivate and how to feel over the line when people are unengaged. So with IBM, I managed large teams and calls in India, in Japan, in Europe, and across Europe. If you have some video conferences with Russians and with UK guys, it can be challenging, but you can learn how to deal with that and to keep people engaged. Anyhow, if you don't learn that, they will not sign up to the meetings, not show up, and maybe you will not have any progress. So what the main thing is, and I learned this from the volunteer jobs I had with PMI, and which engaged a lot of virtual environments. We have to move as leaders of these meetings from a command control mindset to a trust collaboration mindset. We have to understand that everybody on that call, and you see the faces now and talking, we depend on each other's. Very much what Munina was referring to with Ubuntu. We are not singular people trying to make it all happen. This won't be successful in a virtual meeting. We have to really to try to establish some relationships, some bounds with the people on the call to make sure they are engaged. So how are you doing that? If we are really uh, in a face-to-face environment, you remember that it's just a year ago. Then we had some more senses engaged. So we had the smell and taste and touch. We were hugging. We had handshakes, and we were drinking coffee together and smell the coffee. We had some things that brought us together. This is missing now, but you can try to replace it. You can have some visual stimuli on the call, but you have to prepare it. And as a leader of such a call, you have to make up your mind what kinds of tools you can use. Very crazy idea. I was trialing once is, so everybody has one of the small files with a certain scent, and this scent is the project scent. And then the beginning of the meeting, we all smell our project scent, and we are on the same page. So especially the smelling sense is very important to us humans, and as it is for my dog and your dog, but it's also something that can create a small feeling and a boundary. And although what you have to do as somebody who is looking at such a virtual team, you have to not fake, but you have to really care about the individual work situations that people are in. When I talk to the Indian guys, I was always, do you have some kind of problem in the moment in Pune, India? Now, is there a power outage, or do you have a holiday didn't know about, or whatever? We have to be aware of that, and so we have to be interested in that. You have to ask, you have to listen, maybe have one-on-one calls with people who show some problems, and you have to do work on your emotional intelligence. This
Yeah.
is all known to us from the face-to-face environment, but it becomes much more important now in the virtual environment.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the, I'd say, if I may add something here, uh, let's say I have heard a couple of times in my routine work, some people saying actually that being in this teleworking mode sometimes has been, I mean, there has been some new things and good things about it, but one specifically is that when you have the people in front of you, sometimes you get distracted by the person because of the gestures or whatever. And now with this teleworking mode, now you have probably one slide in front of you. You listen to the guy, and if you pay enough attention, then you will not have those things distracting you. So it's a kind of a trade-off at the end. Monina, what would you add here? I mean, how do you keep people engaged, and how do you keep your deadlines on track? What do you think?
Excellent question, Kwan. So, I think in our company, in my company, we lost key account clients. So, and projects, we are facing projects a decline. And I think in this type of difficult situations where a cost reduction plan are under negotiation, is difficult to to engage people. So it's really challenging. And I believe, as Thomas said, the best way to engage people is to be genuine about them. You know, when you really care about people and then you listen to them, you understand them and you are open to them, they know that you will be truth, you will be honest with them. Generally, is, yeah, people open themselves to you. I think this is the key to keep people engaged. And now what we are saying, and is that is really important in this challenging time to show care to employee and also providing reskilling and upskilling. I think this is what is making the difference, because there are many training available to people, even if so they can keep upskilling and to meet the new normal, which is digitalization. We are so people who were working in the airline industry, they know now that they have to keep learning and to open themselves to new opportunities. And yeah, this is a great thing. Continue learning as a
Yeah.
way to engage employees.
Yeah, it's all like nailed or reduced to the fact that you have to adapt, evolve, and yeah, it's almost a Darwin thing. I am really amused by the. I just saw a comment here in the chat box because there's a term that I would like to take on that because it is true. I mean, this multi-slacking thing, it's a bit funny, and yeah, it's about this thing of trying to commit to many things, and then not being able to achieve those. And in this situation that we are living currently with this many things around you, like in my case, for example, my son some days is behaving like a, I'm sorry, like a monkey, and it's impossible to work, you know. So uh, at the end, you have to understand your limitations and commit to a few things and say, okay, this is going to be my target, and commit to that. And I wanted to share this with you guys, and I think that it's a good timing then to launch the last poll of the night, and or even afternoon for you guys. And I will pass the ball back to Prasad, please.
And just I will activate the poll, and I start the time watch, and it's the question is in one word: main attributes a project manager must have in current pandemic time. And it's a free wording, so you can write. I just hide the timing so that we can see the result. Oh, I can, okay. I just have to hide time. last time we had a, I mean, first poll we got a 37 response, then second poll we got a 43 responses. I think for this we should get more than 50. On the time we still 50 seconds left. And I think it's a typing, so if you need more, then I mean, what you'd see, Yuan, I put it like a timer for 2 minutes. Do you think 3 minutes or 2 minutes? It's okay.
Let's give some time to people because I see a lot of interesting things here.
Yeah. So I will increase 1 more minute later.
Yep. Mhm. Mm.
Now we are done with the one, the 2 minutes. I just add
Yeah.
1 more minute.
Yeah, and for this in this case, Prasad, if you don't mind to keep your screen shared, just to keep those words there,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
last 40 seconds, 42 seconds for the response.
yep. So maybe we can, yeah, we can start discussing because I see that the top three. I mean, this is what I perceive here: the flexibility, patience, and adaptability. And I will place this question to you, Thomas. This is going to be a tough one. Um, how do you translate that? I mean, in day-to-day actions, day-to-day things that you can do. How do you translate? What does that mean? Being flexible. What does that mean? Being patient. What does that mean to be adaptable, if that is a word? What do you think? I mean, what is your take on that?
Well, I was thinking about translating it in German, but this wouldn't be not an answer to your question.
Well played. Well played.
I see the center is patience. It's in small print, but I think it very much relates to the theme of our discussion here. It's about schedule management, and patience is actually there when some expected milestones are not met, if people don't show up. So patience is something we all, or most of us, think is a capability that is necessary for a project manager, because there will be slippages and misses of milestones. And and if you are patient and you are not patient enough, maybe then you show some flexibility and some adaptability to navigate the problems and achieve what you need anyhow. And I saw a lot of comments about multitasking, and I agree. I think multitasking for each individual is one of the worst habits we can develop. So we have not to fight it, but we should really consciously try to avoid it. And then if you are concentrating on something you can do yourself, if you are getting up and say, okay, there's only one thing today I really want to achieve, and you put that in the morning on your coffee table, or even before you get up, you set a reminder. I want to achieve this thing, and then you do it at 11 o'clock a.m., then you are already happy. And then you can maybe add two other things. But patience, you shouldn't be too patient with yourself. You should be more under self control, and to be able to show the flexibility and the relationship to others, show the trust to others. So that is something. My personal word here, by the way, was humility, because I think as a leader, with all the things you cannot influence, you have to be very humble and understand that you cannot do the stuff alone. You have to depend on others, but you have to enable others to work with you to achieve the target.
That's a great question, Thomas. And I would like to hear from Monina also what is her reading of these words, and also I would like to hear you speaking about the Ubuntu thing because we have mentioned, and I think it relates a bit with some of the words here,
Yeah.
because we have heard the term, but we haven't had the chance, at least the audience haven't had the chance to hear what is this about. So please.
Passion. So there is an African proverb that said that beyond passions there is even. So for me, passions is the one of the most important skills one can have. Let me explain, because when you have passions doesn't mean that you are not doing something in order to get things done, but it means that um, you have a capacity to wait and without being annoyed, even in difficult situations or crises like the actual COVID-19. I think patience is really important in this kind of circumstances. It allows you to not really fear what can be wrong, what can be bad. So being open to all the things, and bearing in mind that whatever happen, you might have the capacity to deal with it. And for me, flexibility means that, so I will say, from my understanding, is every day I wake up, I say myself that I want to have a new perspective about everything. For example, I'm happy to tell you that everything I told you yesterday was wrong, and then I'm enough flexible to change my mind and to be always looking for the true, for the best way to do things. And regarding Ubuntu, Ubuntu is an African philosophy that means that we are all interconnected. For me, I will explain it as the African view of um, emotional intelligence. So if we say that someone has Ubuntu, for example, that means that this person is open to others, is kind person, is a helpful person, and then he love everybody, even without family um, ties. And then it is the way of seeing all the humanity as a whole, and that we as a human being depend on each other.
Yeah, very nice and very profound at the same time. And I think we need a little bit of that in this situation. I think that we are going through right now. Frank, I'm gonna place also a very tough question as you because there we have covered like the main things here. We have people claiming that patience and flexibility and adaptability, but I see some small words here which should be discussed. Like for example, I see this guy saying we need EQ, we need creativity. What do you think this guy is claiming that the project manager needs in these times?
Well, this question, I actually have an exercise that I do in some of my classrooms, and the exercise is I ask everyone as part of our introduction to get it to know each other. I ask each person to use one word and one word only to describe themselves. Okay, if someone were to ask you to describe yourself in one word, what would that be? And every single one of these words shows up, and I list them. I list every single one that they say, and then at the end of the day or the end of the program, when I come back to this and I look at that list and I say, you are all of these things. People that are project managers are actually every one of these items on here. If we had to put them in priority order, I would say that that might be a little bit of a challenge. In today's environment, especially, and I even teach a class on this, it's called Creativity and Innovation for Project Managers. That this is the era that we are in business requires people to be very creative, to basically foster creativity and to innovate, to come up with different ways of doing things, maybe better ways and so on. So creativity is definitely needs to be kind of melded into or permeate any particular organization. And we need to create, we have to innovate, we need to get people to be thinking very, very differently these days. Um, the EQ, the emotional quotient, this is something that has in the last few years become very popular amongst project management training programs. Even PMI Seminars World does a 2-day program on emotional intelligence, emotional quotient. And what we're seeing today is that people need to listen more to other people. And that includes things like compassion and humility and respectability, you know, things like that. So those are factors that are in there that we have to maybe pay more attention to. You know, how your behaviors affect your environment at work, how it affects other people, and understanding how other people's behaviors are affecting and what drives those behaviors. So we need to know some of that too. Remember, you know, PMI project management, regardless of what organization you belong to, or the essence of project management has moved or is moving from project manager to project leader. And you know, I've done a lot of research on leadership. I've written books on leadership. I study it. I teach as best I can about leadership. And all of these things are factors in what we could call a definition of leadership. If I was to put number one of all of these items, I would still put adaptability as probably the number one item, that we need to be adaptable. We need to be able to change and move. I wrote a quote down in a session that I was in. I don't know if I can find it really quick here, but the quote had something to do with if we are not changing, we are not growing. And if we're not growing, we're not living. So we need to adapt. Things are definitely going to continue to change. The Internet of Things is evolving. The artificial intelligence area is evolving. Uh, getting back to the main question, which was scheduling in a pandemic environment, scheduling is way different now. There are lots and lots of restrictions about gathering places. Look at the challenges that they're having in distributing the vaccine. Okay, that is a major challenge. And I have to say, and I'm going to be a little critical here, is that this pandemic, if anything ever screamed for a program, a worldwide program manager, or at least a countrywide program manager, this is it. Because we're all over the place. In the US, we have 50 governors doing 50 different things, and the federal government trying to do something else, and there's no coordination. So we need to adapt, we need to focus, we need to be flexible and move things where they need to go to in terms of priority. Where is it needed most? And these are all challenges that are out there. And the true leader is going to have a little bit of all of these in there. But I'm going to say adaptability, flexibility, persistence, um, agility and adaptability and flexibility can all be bundled together. I think that these are all key factors that are needed, especially in this world that continues to evolve. And like I said before, we haven't reached the new norm yet. We are still in flux, and we're going to need every one of these. But I would kind of put adaptability on the top of the list, followed by everything else.
I see, and just based on the thing that you just mentioned about the taking the thing back to the main topic that we are covering today, which is schedule management. I would like to just recap one of the things that Klaus in the other event mentioned about the scheduling and the deadlines and things. And he mentioned the thing about slicing things, about um, you have like the big thing that you have to provide or to work on, but then slicing things and making sure that you are focusing like in the short term step, because at the end you will have more control over that, and that's clear. And this is something I wanted to recap and to bring to this discussion for the people, just to keep in mind that instead of thinking of the big delivery, think about the pieces that you can deliver, and then base your discussions with your customer or whoever you're working with based on those, and that will keep the things achievable and everyone on track. And that said, I would like to share my screen now, and I think that with this question, we're going to be making use of the time that we have left, and it's a kind of an open question for you guys. And I would like to start with Thomas, and the question is, um, in 5 years from now, what do you think we're going to be saying about the coronavirus and the break management? Where do you see things going?
Well, I don't know. Nobody knows. And I just doubt, that in the moment we have a good trajectory in bringing COVID and project management together. So Frank said it correctly. We could use a global program manager, maybe country program managers to make that more effective what we are doing with fighting the pandemic. But it's not really done. The people in Germany who are doing a good job, these are not project managers, but they have been, maybe in the building business or in something. They don't call themselves project managers. They don't think they are project managers. They are practitioners who are achieving something nice, the local heroes, and so what's missing for me today is still, there is not really a connection between project management and our office, what we are doing, and how to fight that COVID, or for that part, how to fight the Brexit outcomes or the economic things, what we are the having, or what's happening in the global warming thing. There are a lot of tasks out there, and project management could help, but is it helping already? That's my doubt. So in 5 years, I hope that we see a connection, but I can't see that it's there today. So the stars, in Germany are the stars in healthcare. The nurses and the doctors and the other people who are doing all the stuff, and much of them is also driven by volunteerism. So, we have a lot of volunteers in this area, and I think what can really be a positive thinking is that we have more volunteers in the society who help tackle these problems. And you saw it in Italy when we had the big outbreaks. You saw it in Germany. And in Germany, 90% of all firefighters are volunteers. Imagine that, more than 1 million people in Germany. I know you also have a lot of volunteers in the US. In other countries, it's more a military thing. So volunteerism is something when people see, I want to give back to my community, I want to give back to my country. And again, it's coming up to Ubuntu. We are all in this together, and that's a sentence we heard so much. So I hope in 5 years from now we have a better understanding what it means in terms of volunteerism, in terms of project management, helping all these crises. And I hope that PMI will be at the forefront of offering these things.
I hope as well, being part of this organization, I hope as well. And then Monina, what is your reading here? In 5 years from now, what do you think we are going to be saying about this coronavirus and the project management?
Excellent question, Kwan. So I think in 5 years there will be a lot of changes, and these changes will depend on countries, as Thomas was talking about what he believe will happen in Germany. So I think for me, the first thing is digitalization. That will increase a lot around the world, and the digitalization of the world will lead to a lot of job transformations, and we will have a lot of need, a high demand in terms of upskilling, reskilling people, and I think we will see the advent of new type of job as well. And the second thing is regarding the artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is already what is, since the beginning of the COVID-19, it has been increased. For example, due to the many sick leaves, and also the difficulties to meet physically, more and more tasks are being automated, and that is creating a development of new technologies in order to make make access of remote resources safe. This is the second part. I think we will gain in adaptability because we experience collectively that um, new possibilities. For example, a few months ago, we couldn't sign all kind of documents, being able to buy a car, even without going remotely, all of that. And what really stick with me in 2020 is that in 2020, I maybe it's my point of view, but I think that 2020 really marked the beginning of the awareness of our people, awareness on their interconnectedness because of COVID, all the challenges that COVID-19 has created, and that now we are more concerned about each other. So we felt concerned about the election in the USA, for example, the Brexit consecration, and the movements of Black Lives Matters around the world. And I think this is a trend that we will continue to see because the world is seen by many as a global village. Because if you catch a virus in a part of the world today, in the other part of the world tomorrow, we will we will feel it. And regarding the projects, I think that there will be an increase of diversity, inclusion, and then Ubuntu, because forgiveness, for example, in dealing with um, delay, deadlines, things like that, and then the solidarity and empathy that is increasing. For me, that really is what will change things. As I attended to Thomas' webinar and he was talking about the human hive. So I think for me, I hope as well that this will be the main trend for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I was just taking some notes about the things that you mentioned, and it's clear. I mean, one of the things that this pandemic has made clear is interconnectivity, which is something that probably was in the ambience a long time ago, but now it has been more than clear. And also the thing about the digital industry, the digitalization of things, this has like marked a path for that the industry. So yeah, I think that this is something that is going to be touching in depth the everything, and of course also the project management. Then Frank, I mean, last but not least, what do you think we're going to be saying in 5 years?
Uh, you know, I had to go back to Thomas a little bit. He said, I don't know. Uh, my my response would be, boy, I'm sure glad we're not going through that anymore. That would be probably the first thing that people might say. if they look back on what happened, they would say, what did we learn from that? And are we applying what we learned from it? What changed in the business environment because of it? How are we benefiting from what we learned from it? What are we doing to prevent this from happening again? Are we more prepared than we were 5 years ago? Or how are we more prepared? What has changed in the area of prevention? I could go on a lot of questions. If we really pay attention and look back at history and use history to help us move forward, questions that we would ask was, how do we make sure that we don't repeat that again? So I'm going to think that 5 years from now, people will reflect back on a lot of pain, a lot of misfortune and loss. And, I don't know that you can actually make sense of it, but, what did we learn from it? Is the world more prepared? These are things that I would say, if we look at it from a scheduling perspective, the scheduling in this particular pandemic has created new challenges for the project manager, and this gets back to things like schedule delays, for instance. If you're in the construction industry, if you're in some kind of delivery industry, there are a lot more restrictions about when you can deliver to a location, how you're going to deliver, the sanitizing, wearing of masks, wearing of gloves, interaction with people. All of that could take a lot more time, and that's just the beginning. Availability of people to receive goods and services that are coming in. A lot of people don't come to work. We have to deal with resource shortages. What's the productivity level of people? Now, this is something that we probably need a new study on. But in my research, and if you got to go back a couple of years and whatever to substantiate all this, but more recently, the productivity level in the U.S. specifically, and this might actually go worldwide, but it's going to be different, I think, is about 80%. Okay, that means that if we use an 8-hour day as a standard, your employees in the pre-pandemic environment were operating at about 80% efficiency. And that no one generally is generating 100% productivity on any given day. It just doesn't exist. There's too many interruptions and other factors and variables. If you get to 80%, that's actually really good. Okay, but you got to make sure you understand that. And this is something that even pre-pandemic, a lot of executives did not understand. Okay, you can't plan out on everybody in your organization working at 100%. It just does not, it's not realistic. But now that we're in a virtual environment, those figures, we need to take another look, and maybe another study has to be done to determine, what is the productivity level? I'm hearing from lots of people that now that I'm working at home, I'm more productive. I'm actually spending more time on the job. I'm getting more done, and so on. I don't have any scientific data on that. I don't think anybody's done anything like that yet. We need to look at that so that we can make adjustments and we can start projecting what the future norm will be when it eventually gets here. So there are lots and lots and lots of factors that have to go in. I think we need to continuously ask questions, and especially, what did we learn from this experience? How are we going to apply what we learned? How do we get better to prepare for the next one? Hopefully we won't be saying, oh no, we're back into another one. Hopefully that doesn't exist, but that's a possibility. So there's just so many unknowns out there, so many new variables to look at, that we are in a definite stage of evolution in how we're going to manage business going forward. And there will be challenges. There're going to be great opportunity, and there's going to be new products and services that are going to come out. And a lot remains to be seen. But I'm kind of hoping that people, especially people in leadership positions, stop looking at the negatives and start looking at more of the positives, and how are we going to get out of this? Me personally, I'm tired of hearing all the bad news. You get bad news all day, every day, and it's depressing. We need to turn things around and start asking, okay, how are we going to move forward? What are the next things that we can do that are going to help everybody? You know, where's the plan? I used to quote, um, I gave a presentation after Sandy, the superstorm hit New York City. And I was asked to give a presentation to the PMI New York City chapter. And I left them with something, and something that maybe all of the world leaders should be thinking about. If you remember, and my quote was this: hope is not a plan, but a plan brings hope. And we need to start embracing that if we have a plan and we can see that we're going in a direction that people are going to start feeling comfortable with, then we're going to see some real progress. But until then, you know, we're going to struggle. So hope is not a plan, but a plan brings hope.
Very nice, very nice. And I was actually taking notes of that because I think that's one of the key takeaways from this. Never forget to have a plan because it gives hopes and it gives us a sense of a direction of where you are going. And that's very interesting. And I would like to also recap of one of the things that you have explained. Because yes, I mean, in terms of scheduling, there are many new variables. Scheduling now has many ingredients that you have to take into account, and it's important to keep those under the radar. And also about the thing about ramping up and ramping down. I mean, when you are, for example, in the construction industry, this thing about moving in and moving the machinery and all that, and also the time related to that because of the coronavirus, this is something that you have to keep in mind. About efficiency, I really like that you brought that to the table because efficiency nowadays, there are some people out there that are sharing these experiences about being more efficient, but how sustainable this is, you know? What are the new affectations that you may have because of working at home? And this is something that I would, if anyone out there is with intention of performing an investigation or a research, I would really like to hear about that. What is the sustainability? I mean, is this something that could be sustainable in the in the long run? So I think that we have covered everything. The last slide I have here is basically to recap the main takeaways we have from this interesting discussion. So first of all, be empathetic. Try to put on the other one's shoes. Try to break the project into handleable pieces so you can control things. Adapt and take the most of the working from home because there are some good things from that. Remember to ramp up and ramp down. This takes time and consider that in your schedules. Develop your traits on working virtually and because working from home, it's not going anywhere. Manage expectations from your stakeholders. Keep historic records so you can really learn from what you have seen and keep track of the lessons learned. This is an important thing. And I have added this, a couple of things that you, this case was Frank mentioning this, business and personal SWOT. I mean, try to think about which are really your opportunities. What are your threats now? Get on that. This is something that might give you very good benefits in the future. Avoid the multitasking trap. I think we have come to the agreement that the multitasking could be something more a trap rather than a trait that you develop. Adapt and evolve one more time and do a plan. So that's pretty much it on my side on the panelists. If you want to share something, please, um, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Monina. Thank you so much for this information and this presentation. It's really helpful. Thank you so much. Juan, if we can go to the next slides. Yeah, just a quick reminder, Northeast Ohio chapter, we have many events coming. Next week, we have a job fair. It's Friday and Saturday event. Will be like a webinar evening and Friday, and Saturday will be like a job fair from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. in Ohio time. February 16, how much change management is enough. 217 is annual state of the chapter. First week of March, we have an agile evening, and March 16, women in project management virtual book club. We have another event in May and April as well. The first week of April and first week of May, we have events. You can browse and look for the events offered by visiting or PMINEO.org event list. You'll find the whole events there. Next slide, one. Yeah, this is the claim for today. This is the claim code. You can use it to claim your 1.5 PDUs for renew credential in BMI. Anyway, we will send these slides to the attendees as soon as we can possible. We will send them these slides. Thank you all. Thank you again. That was like great presentation. Thanks, thanks everyone. And again, thanks to our speakers, Monina, Frank, Thomas, and thank you, Juan. Thank you, Prasad, for putting all these together. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.
Hey, thanks a lot for the time. It was great, and I have to say I'm commending the audience that you pulled together. What a great group! Lots of really insightful comments and information. This was a truly interactive group. It seemed like we had everybody engaged. Juan, you did a nice job with your facilitation. So I just said, invite me back again. I'd be happy to do this again because this was a lot of fun. Okay.
We will for sure. We will expect another invitation.
Okay. All right. Well, take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day. Stay safe.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Frank, Monina, stay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.